from last night. If the guitar is here, we're going to sing a quick one tefillah. Shomer, Shomer, Israel. Shomer, Shomer, Israel. Shemor, Sherit, Israel. Shemor, Sherit, Israel. Ve'al Yovam, Ve'al Yovam, Ve'al Yovam, Israel. Haomrim Shema Israel. Shomer, Shomer, Israel. Shomer, Shomer, Israel. Shemor, Sherit, Israel. Shemor, Sherit, Israel. Ve'al Yovam, Ve'al Yovam, Ve'al Yovam, Israel. Haomrim Shema Israel. Da 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 da. Aleph, the whole month is sponsored by the Eagles, Leilun Nishmat Tzivir Brachos Bas Elia, anonymously in honor of the coming of Mashiach, and by the Merkins in honor of Yaakov Akiva, completing Achiomi, and for protection of Hillel Tzvi Yehuda, and all of our Chayalim. This week is sponsored by my parents in memory of my grandmother's Yortzeit, Chaya Rochel Bas Tzvi Hirsch, Amen. Amen. By Shlomit Kafler Weinreb, Leilun Nishmas Chaya Brana Bas Mordechai David. By Sonia Green, Leilun Nishmas Yona Wolf Ben Nassan on her Sonia's Abba's 10th Yortzeit. Today specifically is Leilui Nishmat Reisel Bat Yeta Menachem HaKohen, that's by the Orenstein family, and also by Steve and Esty Solomon on the occasion of the birth of a great grandson to Steve and Esty. May he grow up in a life filled with Torah, Maasim Tovim. May his great grandparents be zocheh to join him under his chuppah. Amen. Amen. Ken Yiratzon. And one more important refuah shlema. I want to learn right now. Also, let's be for the refuah shlema of Moshe Aaron ben Leah Bila. Moshe Aaron is the grandson of a friend of ours, someone that's worked here in the Moatzah for many years. That's Menachem Spitz. Do you know Menachem? Mm-hmm. So Menachem's grandson was one of the Chayalim that were injured badly yesterday down south.
There was a group of 7.
You think he's one of the 7, and it's Menachem's grandson. So he was niftzai nosh, it was like a serious injury. So he should have a refuah shlema b'ezrat Hashem. And I just want to share that I've been thinking about this. It's so related to today's. Pass these around. It's so related to today's learning. You know, there's this. I don't know. We tend to move on in the name of like it's something holy and healthy, but the fact that there was these. So interesting how you had the municipal, these bchirot yesterday, and some places you see people dancing because their person won. Some places it's frustration because they didn't win. Or there's frustration because there was so many parties, so it messed up the clarity of the vision. Whatever it is, it's be'emet. Kol kach, kol kach, kol kach, lo chashuv right now. It's not to be believed. All that's chashuv right now is that our soldiers continue to feel our love and our support to wipe out the Zera Amalek, because these Yemach Shemamim are not going down so fast. You see this. This is not to be believed. You could attribute it to the fact that our demented way of approaching this war may be part of the problem. I don't know. It doesn't. I'm not going to pretend I'm a general or a Navi or a Chacham at all. I just know that the heart is aching hearing that another 2 Chayalim were killed yesterday. And this group of 7 yeshiva bachers were injured, and there are more injuries as well. So I just want us to, if we keep on saying to stay focused in these shiurim, I just want us to continue to remember that we're here and learning what we're learning to not feel phony, to not feel phony and not feel fake. And if we said we're waking up, if we really tiny that we're waking up and we're doing everything we can to wake up, then we got to be very, very, very real, and as much real at the reality, with the reality that's in front of us, and real with our tefillas, because if we really understood, if we really saw, if we were down south every day and running into shell bomb shelters every day up north, we wouldn't be able to be as normal as, unfortunately, we're kind of getting to. And it's not a good thing. So, the whole north is being bombed all day long. Shibshim Bar Yochai is being bombed every day. All the yeshuvim in the Golan, in the Galil, thousands and thousands. Some of the chevra that are working on the shiputzim in my house are basically mifunim from the north. They've been living in this Malon Yehuda in Malcha. The fact that we've been able to somehow find some kind of shigra or seder is not necessarily alluding to the notion of staying focused. Do you hear what I'm saying? That doesn't necessarily mean we're staying focused. It's a delicate balance. I don't know what the answer is. It's such a delicate balance between the two. But all we know is that our chayalim are still makriving their nefesh every single day. And thousands of misplaced Yidden throughout Eretz Yisrael are not in their homes. Thousands. And there's still no one presenting any chazon, any vision to what the day before, the day after, the day before after, the day after before. There's still no one that's speaking anything that's making us feel like we're actually moving towards somewhere that makes a Yidden feel not just safe, but hopeful. The whole thing is pashut me'od lo kashur to anything that the world sees. We have to, when we're learning, like this is our chazon. We're learning, we're drawing out of here to keep ourselves focused and to keep our emotions and our senses aligned with the emes of what's happening right now. As long as Yidden are in danger, we're all in danger. As long as Jews are willing to sacrifice their lives so that you and I could be sitting and learning here, my day is not the same. Nothing about my day is the same. Doesn't matter if I'm running in and out of a bomb shelter, if I'm in the north or I'm in the south. It doesn't matter. So I just want us all to lift it up a notch in terms of the pnimius of Aris Kashrus to what's going on here right now. Not to get caught up in anything that doesn't have to do with feeling Nishmat Am Yisrael. And somehow with these election stuff, it's very easy to get so absorbed in something that be'emet, it doesn't really, I'm sorry to say this, it doesn't really matter. These things don't really matter. They don't. I would have said this yesterday too, but I love Yishai. I didn't, like these things don't really matter. What matters right now is that Yidden are fighting for their lives, and there's still this illusion, and there's still this sheker in the world. And we have to, Be'ezrat Hashem, just hang on tight, daven for the refuah shlema of these ptsuim, beg Hashem farach mishamayim, and to enlighten our hearts and open our hearts in ways that have still not been open. One more thing is that this Friday, Ari is sponsoring breakfast. Is that okay? No, I'm kidding. He is. Ari is sponsoring breakfast this Friday for Chabura. So, Bezrat Hashem, we'll be continuing. I know Toby made an order of those Sfarim. I wonder, I have to check in with Toby if they're here or not, but Bezrat Hashem, I know he sent out a message. The Sefer from Rav Biederman on Zmiras Shabbos, which is like some just beautiful stuff. We got off to a great start. and we'll go weiter. We're starting a new parak today, parak Gimel.
Yeah.
What's that?
Finishing Kaddish.
For his father, yeah. Yes.
Question about
Yeah.
what you just said before about staying focused.
Okay.
You say something about how this present situation relates to Yechezkel.
I could, but not now. 100%. It's the truth is that on a Sunday morning shiurim with the women,
Yes.
which is taking this in a different light, it's all based on Yechezkel, Lamed Daled, and Lamed Vav.
Yes.
The whole thing, the whole teaching of Yidden coming out of Galut, of dry bones, of Ruach Hadasha, the whole thing. It's all based on those two chapters in Yechezkel and Rav Kook's take on it, but it's just a different shvung. So I'm just gonna, if it's okay, Mechila.
What's that class called?
Kumi Ori. But it's a women's shir. Yeah, it's a women's shir.
Do we
Kumi
have access to it?
Yeah,
Also?
yeah. It's live. Yeah, it's just, that's been the strong, one of the strongest shiurim for probably like
Tell you it's worth
it's a very
streaming it or playing
it's a
it
very
or-
strong shir. About 7 or 8 years already we've been learning
It's
it.
very complimentary to what
Yeah, that's the beauty of mamash, a gift, and that's a lot of it is mamash taking Yechezkel and going there.
I would just
Okay,
like
yeah.
to add, because you know, age allows something. It's not just that what's going on with the elections are relatively speaking not important. It's led to such a lot of really ugliness, and that's a riva that we are not helping our soldiers when we're speaking ill of one another and fighting over something that, as you said, is relatively not as important as the big picture. And we should really watch our Shira Saloshan.
Amen.
Well, I'm going to apologize
Amen.
because I actually started this morning coming in. Inadvertently, I didn't know what I was stepping into, but I did open that subject, and I think it may have led to some negative feelings. So I want to apologize to everybody that was there for that I brought that up. Should have stayed away from it altogether.
We all have to watch our stuff.
Shkoyach, I didn't hear anything, but you are forgiven. All right, Chaverim, let's go for it now. The next thing, Baruch Hashem, now that hopefully the Torah of mistakes is ingrained in us. I just want to say thank you because there was more feedback on Monday's shir than there's been on any shir the last month, and that says a lot, which shows me that I have. It's like I'll be very frank. I'll be very honest. The reason why we're not learning Rav Shlomo every day, all day long, is because it seems like it's easier because it's English and it sounds so sweet. The emes is, it's deeper than anything that we learn. It's actually deeper than everything and anything that we could ever learn. Because just like what he said about Rav Kook's Oros HaTshuva, that Rav Kook learned every single thing about Tshuva that was written from any of the Rishonim and Achronim, from the Rambam's Hilchos Tshuva to Rabbeinu Yonah Shari Tshuva to Reb Sadia Gaon to Maharal, everyone, and then he squeezed the juice of it like a fruit, and the juice was Oros HaTshuva, basically. When we're learning a Torah like we learned on Monday about the Torah of mistakes, about Eretz Yisrael, about Shprinza, you know what that really is? That really is the whole Torah of Baal Shem Tov squeezed, like Ramesh squeezed, and the juice, the concentrate, and the juice that juice that came out is what we ended up learning. But you know that I've been editing those pieces for 20 years. That piece we did on Monday, I've been editing that one. That one's that's for 12 years, 12 or 13 years. And after we learned it, I went back inside and re-edited it again because I realized that every time you learn it, it gets deeper. So it's very hard. I feel very cautious to even learn those pieces anymore because I realize it is so infinitely deeper than whatever I think for sure. And I'm so choshesh to give it over. This stuff was already given, this stuff was processed and edited and viewed by the Mechaber himself, right? By Rav Ginsburg. So I feel like, okay, that's a heter to say, okay, now you can learn it, right? Rav Shlomo never went over any of his Torahs. He never wrote any of his Torah. He never wrote down any of his teachings. They were never written. They never written and show. Huh?
It was all third party, whatever.
Recordings.
It's all recordings. It's all the There's thousands and thousands of hours of recordings. So I have this, like, the older I get, age does allow you, I guess, you say certain things. The older I get, like 20 years ago, I'd pull out these transcripts. Oh, let's learn. This is the highest. Now I'm realizing, like, this is so infinitely deeper than whatever is being presented. But it's pushing me. You should know, after Monday and your feedback, it's definitely pushing me to even move weiter and clearer and deeper with that. So it's gonna be around much more than whatever once was. We used to learn this stuff all day long. Yossi and I were talking about this. We used to pull out these transcripts, like, learn it all the time. But there's a big yira. It's a good yira. It's like a yira. It's like, is this really what he meant? Because there was one nikuda that came up in Shir on Monday. When I went back to edit it afterwards, I realized, wow, because of the learning that we did, what he was saying became so much clearer. So we'll get to that as well. But now we're with the Mechaber that we know he saw this, he went over this, and therefore there's more like a heter to say, okay, now we can learn what's going on, even though I'm sure, positive, that whatever we come up with in here, it's always infinitely deeper than whatever we can come up with. But we're giving it our best shot. Okay? Now that's a very good introduction when you start to learn the topic of Keter. Because what's Keter? Keter is the first sphera. Keter is the top. As we started saying on last week on Wednesday, the chokhmah lenafshecha, the chokhmah of the nefesh, is where does it place? The chokhmah lenafshecha, v'hi keter leroshecha. Where do you place the crown? Above the head, above the intellect. Keter, the world of Keter, in the spirit of Kabbalah, where it starts there, is the tat-muda, it's the al-muda, it's the super-conscious, it's the things that are always hovering around us and above us. So my question is like this. If we're not learning about Sfirot, but we're learning how to work on ourselves and on the Medina through the Sfirot, how do you work on something that stays in the realm of superconscious? How does that work exactly? You could basically only really work with the things that you're aware of and that you're conscious of. And yet we're starting from where? We're starting from Keter. So this is we're just going to do the first one over here. This is really, really just a beautiful way to enter now into the Avodat HaNefesh of Tikkun Medina, starting from the top. Let's see how the Rav takes us. האור האלוקי הראשון להאיר הוא אור הכתר המקביל למדרגת העל מודע של הנפש. הוא סובב ככתר את הראש, את השכל המודע המנהל את כל תפקודנו. Our consciousness is basically the thing that always runs our activity, our being in this world. How we conduct ourselves is generally, hopefully, through my consciousness, and that which makes sense to me, that which doesn't make sense to me. That's my muda, that's my muda'ut, that's my consciousness. And yet the keter is placed above it. במימד העל-מודע של הנפש תמונים המניעים הרוחניים העמוקים ביותר למעשינו והתנהלותנו. But in this super-conscious state that we're speaking about of the soul, all the, how do you say meni'im? The motives? Drives?
Yeah.
What's a better word? Drives?
Motivation.
Yeah, like motives, I think, is a good word for it. All of our deepest spiritual drives that has to do with the way we act and conduct ourselves are really, and from the soul, are tapped into this place of Keter.
As it was described, Emunah is in that category.
He said that? Nachon, he said, right. And we're going to get there in a second. Very good. He's that's the topic of today, actually. That's very good. Because I forgot that he had already hinted that to us. That's right, he did in the chart. In the chart. Emunah tanu v'ratzon, nachon. Meni'im elu enam gluim lanu b'derech klal. But these motives and drives are generally not revealed to us. They remain concealed to us. Achem mekifim et hamuda'ut tamid. But they're constantly surrounding the consciousness, but they're not always revealed to us. So, if it was revealed to me all day long, how much I believed in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, would I have bechira for anything? Nothing. Emunah, the main one today, what we're going to be seeing is that it's always there, but it's not always revealed to us. ונוכחותם הנסתרת על גבולה מחיה ומחדשת אותה בכל עת. And its concealed presence on the border is constantly always enlivening and renewing itself at any given moment. He's going to explain what this means. And basically says, הממד העל-מודע מורכב משלושה כוחות רוחניים. הממד העל-מודע, this superconscious category, ממד doesn't mean category, it means, how do you say ממד? Dimension, thank you. This superconsciousness dimension is composed of three spiritual kochot. Emuna, Ta'anug, and Ratzon. I'm not going to go into what he says in the bracket over here. Emuna, Ta'anug, and Ratzon. These three things is what he describes is in this dimension of superconsciousness. Emuna, Ta'anug, and Ratzon. But what are we trying to do here? This is not a sheer on showing us charts of Kabbalah to show us this happened, this is here, this is here. It's a Lemaisa Sefer. That's what I love about this Sefer. It's a very Lemaisa Sefer. So he says, כעת נסביר כיצד נוכל להציל לפועל את הכוחות הללו ביחס למצע התיקון של מדינת ישראל. How does this stand with basically the platform of like saying, okay, how are we fixing the land, the people, the country? Emunah. Now, what's fascinating is that this, you see, whenever, we have a Chavah that learns with us in somewhere in America, I don't want to mention where, and he learns with us every year. And he left me this beautiful long message this week saying that he heard something in Rav Weinberger's shir that was I just gave it away basically. Anyway, he heard something in Rav Weinberger's shir that basically mirrored exactly what we were saying about the more you see something that smells so bad that's rising, the more that it means that on the other side there's an opportunity for the exact opposite for it to come and blossom forth. So, what's been one of the words that we spoke about, and you made a great video about it, one of these words that's been like coming up to the surface, that is portrayed in a negative light, which is just the most Purimdik thing in the world? Meshichi. Like, there's another famous TV anchor. His name is Yinon Magal. I don't know if how many of you have heard of him. Yeah, Israeli, everyone knows Yinon Magal. Yinon Magal has his own show on Channel 14, The Patriotim. And he's an Ishiyut, he's one of these characters, been around for a while. And he went to sit down by an interview by someone, and he thought, and the person that interviewed him thought that, I'm going to get him right now, I'm going to catch him really good. He said, Tagid li, אתה מחשיב את עצמך משיחי? Do you consider yourself to be Mashiachist? He said, כן. So the guy said, מה זאת אומר? הוא אומר, זה אומר שאני מאמין בביאת המשיח. And he flipped it around to the guy to make him feel like an idiot for like... Just
the total simplicity of his answer.
It was so like, yeah. It's like, exactly, it wasn't like a complicated sugya. It was this thing.
It wasn't about no apologetics and no...
Not only that, he was saying like, what does it mean to be Mashiach? Well, Mashiach means, אני מאמין בביאת המשיח. I believe in Mashiach one day. Now, Rav Ginsburg... He said the word Ben David, whatever, Mashiach, I'm shaneh right now. I'm not going into... You think the guy over there would understand if he said Ben Yosef or Ben David? As if we understand these things. They're going to understand these things, right? So, Rav Ginsburg is going to show us, though, that if you say you believe in Mashiach, be sure you understand what that actually means. And this is very interesting. This is what's hovering over in the Meimad Ha'al Muda'i, the super consciousness. Kol tzuza we're in the bottom line. Kol tzuza ve'itpatchut b'muda'ut ha'yehudit. Any movement in the growth of Jewish consciousness is all dependent, tluya be'itchaskut ha'emunah. It's all dependent on how strong my emunah is. I want to say that line again. It sounds like a very simple line. It's actually a very, very deep line. Rav Ginsburg says that any single movement, what he means here is growth. Not only growth, also falling. Any movement, and then he says in development, in muda'ut yehudit, in Jewish awareness and consciousness, is dependent on something. What is it dependent on? Jewish history? No. Is it based on books? No. It's based on emunah. And then he says over here, liot emunah omen. Emunah tkifa v'yetziva. The emunah, it's amazing. Emunah comes from the word also, an artist, nachon, an aman. And an artist, we have artists, a lot of artists in the room. What he's basically saying over here is that your development, your hitpatchut, your growth in the field, It's only dependent on your growth in this level of being artistic. Like having emunah, Rav Nachman says, you know what you have to have in order to have emunah? You have to have gewalt imagination. If you don't have gewalt imagination, you're not really able to do anything with emunah. Because you're like, well, I either have it or I don't have it. It's like a bank account. It's like, well, I either have that or I don't have that. Like, זה לא עובד ככה. It doesn't work like that. That's not how these things work. יהודים הם מאמינים בני מאמינים בהשם ובתורתו. It's who we are. וחזון התיקון שלהם, the vision of our fixing, יסודו גם הוא באמונה בביאת המשיח, שיביא גאולה שלמה לכל העולם, which will bring total salvation for the whole world. Now let's face it, you and I, when we go out to the world, and we want to sound like we're with it with the times, and we sit down and we speak to someone, and we want to make them feel comfortable, and we want to sound like, we're modernim. We probably won't go to this place. We actually probably won't speak about Mashiach. Why? Why not?
It would make them feel uncomfortable?
Maybe. What else?
Makes you sound backwards and antiquated.
It makes you sound outdated. Yeah.
We're crazy.
It can make you sound like you're shtukel meshuga. Yeah. Yeah. It's a very interesting thing. He's saying, listen, you want to be in touch with like the chazon, the yesod, the nevuah, and all these things over here. And by but you got to realize something. And it's a statement we've been saying over and over again. Any reference to the word shalom from now on that is not in a Mashiach context, not only is bad, it's dangerous. Because you're messing with something which is the most potent word in the world. It's God's name. It's the kli that's machzik bracha. It's the vessel that also keeps a bracha. Our context of using the whole world of where we're going to is only one thing. Emunah beviat Mashiach. Very clearly. That's all it is. Now, if the frame here, in the context over here about anything, now let's go back to anything that's happening right now, right? With the bechirot or whatever it is. People have to speak in the context of where we're moving towards. Where are we moving towards? It has to be part of our siach. It's got to be part of the way we speak. It's got to be part of the normal, mamash things that are coming out in conversations. And, if Rav Kook said back in the 20s that, what it's going to take is that the world of safrut will have to be consumed with dibur of tshuva for it to really penetrate through the crowds then. Can you imagine today in the world of journalism? No pressure, okay? But Mamish, can you imagine in the world of journalism, right? You gotta be careful. You have so many gedolim in the room that are doing so many good things. I'm saying this is all l'shem b'niyah. Can you imagine in the world of journalism, right? There was some kind of context that had to do with geula, that was in the mainstream. Not chevra that, stay kilu, they're legamri on this side. Mainstream. So you'll say, they'd be thrown out there in a second. Let's see. If the more you speak about it, the more people that are actually thinking like this, what did Rav Ginsburg say to us a few weeks ago? Critical mass, the buzz. Mashu kaze, the buzz. הדברים ישתנו. כדי, yeah.
What the word emunah means here? What does that word actually mean? Is it like, I believe Mashiach is going to come the way that I believe in aliens? He's gonna,
tenlo. He's gonna do it for, I can give you a whole personal spiel, but he's gonna do it for us.
Okay.
כדי להביא את לביאת המשיח, על כל יהודי להאמין שמפתח הגאולה נמצא בידו. In order to bring the coming of the Mashiach, each of us has to believe that the key to redemption is in your hand. What does that mean?
That's a tough one.
What does that mean?
We're all waiting for some societal shift.
Bidyuk. So what does this mean?
Ownership, non-passivity.
Hakul. One more line. Dangerous shir. Shebo atzmo kayam nitzotz shel Mashiach. Okay, it starts from there. It starts from there that within you yourself there is a spark of Mashiach. In your soul, there's a spark of Mashiach. Ubiyecholto legaloto, and it's in your capacity to redeem that spark that's still that has been taken into captivity within you. Ubiyecholto legaloto, it's within your means to reveal it. Veligol be'ezrato et hametziut, and to redeem reality through this spark of Mashiach. I'm going to give you an example of this. I said this one time in Australia. I thought it was a really good word. I kept it on an album. That album live in Melbourne. It says, we say that one of the ikarim of the Rambam, we say v'afa pishit mameim kol ze achake lo b'chol yom sheyavo, right? So that means on Pipshat, it means, I will wait, and even though he's taking his time. So I had I said, okay, maybe that was good enough till the 6 million. After the 6 million, there's no waiting. The waiting business has completely changed. And on the other hand, Mashiach still hasn't come yet, which is the biggest stira and the thing that boggles me more than anything in the world. That thing is maksha on my emunah more than any other thing in the world. Sorry, just had to share that, just being real. That fact that it confuses me more than anything in the world. That Mashiach didn't come after the 6 million. So what do I do with it if I can't wait? So we said, and you see this in Chassidus all the time. It's called shinui otiyot. When a word, there are some letters that they make the same sound. It's just different letters. For instance, vet and vav. What's another one? Huh? Ayin and Alf is not if you're Yemeni. They would get insulted. Not really because chet for Ashkenazim, right? Chet and chaf, right? Or kaf and kuf. That's the one, right? Kaf and kuf are like mamash the same thing. So in Hebrew, lechakot means to wait. But what does achake mean when you make a kuf into it?
Imitate, emulate.
You're becoming like it. And oti, he's imitating me. So v'afa pish mekdemea. So Ribono Shel Olam, okay, you're taking your time, v'chulei, and all this. Im kol zeh achake lo. You could take your time. Whatever Mashiach is to me, I'm going to imitate him, and that's how I'm going to act right now. That's how I'm going to be. Like whatever imagery I have of Mashiach, his energy, what he does. Baruch, can you go outside, please? Whatever imagery he does, whatever imagery it means to me, whatever that is to me, right? It doesn't matter no one can tell me because it's my own, you know what I mean? It's like, I can learn Hilchos Malachim, I can learn the Rambam, I can learn what everyone says about him. But whatever it means to me, I'm going to be that right now. Like that's just what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a walking little Mashiach. I'm not going to be a self-proclaimed Mashiach. But I can't wait. Huh? B'tzelem Mashiach, nachon. That for me works, and for me, Rav Shlomo was the greatest example of that, of someone that just okay, the 6 million are killed. The world doesn't know what love is. Mashiach's going to bring love back to the world and trust again. I'm going to walk around and I'm just going to be that, even if the whole world's going to laugh at me, even if the whole world's going to mock me. I know inside this is what I'm doing, and like this, that's one of the ways maybe to redeem the nitzots of Mashiach that's in each and every one of us. But there's many different ways. But it starts with emunah beviat Mashiach. Sheze lo davar shechitzoni mimeni, and that's actually much harder than we think. That's much harder.
It's much easier. It's much easier because it's much simpler to believe that you can do stuff in this world to make it better than believe that some dude is coming on a donkey to fix everything. That belief system is weird. Okay, to believe, and it's not in the whole Tanakh that some guy comes and fixes everything. It doesn't exist. It's not like that. At some point, there's something mystical to believe that you have a right to make this world a better place. It's much simpler. It's a much simpler belief.
I can't disagree more than...
I don't agree.
Yishai, hafuch legamre. And I'll explain to you why.
It's not a fuch legamre.
It's Yishai. No. אתה לא מבין.
Very strong.
אתה לא מבין. When I say that something is the hardest, and you have one Fleischer in the room that you... זה לא משנה את העובדה that the מצב of the עם בגדול was way, way far from the ideal place that you're speaking of.
I'm not talking about it.
I am. I'm saying that the way that you're describing it...
I read the Tanakh. I don't see any ideal places.
No. We're speaking two different lishonot right now. Let me start again, and everyone just chill. It's everyone just chill. It's amazing. Everyone just chill. No, shniach, ever. We could do a zoo, or we could try to get a seder, like this. What is harder? What is harder to do? To wait for something to happen or to do it yourself? What's harder?
Do it yourself.
No, waiting. That's not what we're talking about. The consciousness that it's in me and believing that it's in me as opposed to that it's out there. What's harder to believe in? For the klal?
That it's in me.
That's what we're talking about. It's to do, I'm talking about asiyah versus emunah. You understand the difference here? There's two completely different worlds. I agree with you that is the ideal and the place, and that's what he's saying too. Shetzchim lish'of elav. But it's infinitely more harder for Yehudim to stop being galutim. Now, what does that mean in this context? A Yehudi galuti has no connect. It doesn't mean anything to him that there's a nitzatz of Mashiach. I don't even know if he believes in it, that there's a nitzatz of Mashiach inside of him. I don't even know if he believes in it. The Yehudi geulati doesn't say I'm Mashiach, but he says, no, the Ribono Shel Olam believes in me, there's a nitzatz of Mashiach in me, and I'm going to do whatever I can to redeem that and live by that. But
And that brings Moshiach.
well,
brings
he
his
says,
part of
Chevra, עוד פעם.
But by bringing his part,
Ari,
bring
Ari.
Moshiach in general.
Now let's read his words again, okay? כדי להביא לביאת המשיח, על כל יהודי להאמין שמפתח הגאולה נמצא בידו. Okay? So what does that mean?
I can do it.
Right.
It's
If
hard
that
making it happen.
I'll just tell you something. If that was easy, there's no way in the world this would be in Keter also. You realize that. If what Yishai said was easy, this would be in the last sphera. It would not be where we start on top. This is in Keter, which also means this is the most subconscious place. Or I want to say subconscious. The way we've been translating, which is true. I checked in the super conscious, right? So the things that are in the super conscious place, they're the most true, and yet they're the hardest to ligol. They're the hardest to redeem. Look at us, 75 years. We're stuck in this ridiculous place that has nothing to do with who we really are and our real mitziyut here. And you have yechidim that are living and thinking and talking Mashiach and speaking Geulah and Binyan Geulah. Why is it? Because we're dealing with the highest level, the tikkun of the Medina. The tikkun. And he's starting from the top, Dafka, right? And then he ends here. He says, Al kol Yehudi la'amin shemafteach ha'geulah nimtza biyado, shebo atzmo kayam nitzotz shel Mashiach, u'biyecholto legaloto veligol be'ezrato et ha'metziut. That through this, I could redeem my whole reality. Through this thing called, and Jeremy, to answer your question even deeper, is that, and this sounds very much like Reb Nosson of Breslov, that emuna means emuna be'atzmi, actually. Again, you're saying it as if it's a given. Yishai, I'm asking you to open your heart for a second, not your head. When you say that, I want to cry. You know why? Because to you, something which is so simple is not simple to Rov Ha'am. It's the truth.
We're sitting in Shirat David. This is a building that was not here a year and a half ago. It is here. Now there's a classroom. Somebody built it with a vision, and the people donated, and they built it, and they fried with Rabbi Riskin, and he moved like, that's Mashiach. It's happening all the time. And also the 75 years, this has been the most 75 Mashiach years ever. There's a realization that we can do stuff. Everybody in this room does stuff to move it forward.
I say Mashiach
yeah.
is actually where it comes and they say, you built the building wrong, you have to knock it all down and rebuild it again. We have to humble ourselves to figure out how to build it again from scratch.
No. We just built, the Shirat David was built.
No, he's not saying that. It's not what he's saying that. No one should misunderstand what he just said. He doesn't think we should demolish this building. You understand what he's saying?
Just built it.
No, but what he's saying is, Eli's right on point. He's saying that there needs to be an anava within the context of Geula. When we spent 2 months on that.
But it's also the opposite, because you're saying that every person has the power as a part of the Mashiach.
Only because of one reason. They didn't do anything to have that nitzatz in them. None of us did anything to get this spark within us. We inherited it. We didn't do anything. It wasn't our achievement. It wasn't our filling out nefesh b'nefesh papers.
It's up to us to actualize it.
100%. But you know what happens to the consciousness of a person when they realize that? That they didn't do anything to inherit this fact. Well, it's a game changer. I mean, he was saying over here that it's all dependent on this nekudah. It's all dependent on this point, right? But to go back to what Yishai was saying again, because it's a very strong point by me also, and it has to do with like the months of learning we've been doing in the Sefer, is that is the ideal place, sprinkled with an infinite amount of anava, is what we're basically doing here, and we're living testimony to it. It's true, 100%. But chas v'shalom, that in 75 years, this building looks like the country after 75 years, in the minds of the people. Chas v'chalila. I'm not willing for that. I'll pack my bag. If the moment I see that that's the direction, I will beg mechila from all of you and from Hashem, and realize that I be'emet should have stuck to music.
But that isn't the direction.
No. We will not let it happen.
Right, but with another.
What's necessary. We will not let it happen.
We can't let it happen. Yeah.
We will not.
We will not. Bezrat Hashem, be'anava. We will not let it happen. Yeah.
So just something I don't understand. So you're talking about the super consciousness, and you're talking about Emunah, right? Emunah specifically becoming Moshiach. So is that a desire? Emunah is a desire in our super consciousness, and part of the Emunah desire is the desire for Mashiach. Is that?
From now on, I'm not going to let anyone say any comments. You know why? Because everything that was brought up is literally the next like every time someone said something, it's literally the next thing. This is not a cop-out if we're not answering. Because you could call me out on the, people that do that, they're like, but what does it mean? Wait, we didn't finish learning. No, you just have no idea what to answer. That's not what I'm saying. Because I could give you a million answers, but I want to learn from him, and he addresses kimat word for word what you just said right now. Which is actually a good sign, because it actually means that we're going to the right place. Because I also get lost in that terminology. I also am wondering exactly, mamash kimat your words. So it's very good what you're saying. Let's hear what Rav Ginsburg says. Let's see what the Rav says. Emunah eitana zo docha kol yeush. So this belief, whatever this thing is, this belief that in the coming of Mashiach and that this spark is in me, and it's dependent on me to redeem and reveal this nekudah, it pushes away any. Now we sound so Rav Nachman today. It pushes away any despair, anything. Because all it means that when I see something that's so rotten to the core, all it means is the spark of Mashiach that's in it has not been redeemed yet. Gaiva would say, what? What would Gaiva dictate to me when I see Churban? Or to completely like we have, or to passel the whole thing, which we said from the beginning is the easiest way to go. That's the safest olam hazeh way to go. Passel the whole thing, and like what Eli was saying, but not really what he was saying, burn down the whole building because it was wrong, and start from scratch. None of us are going anywhere. We're here. The only question is, how do we continue to build the building? Or how do we decide to rebuild certain facets of the building? That's what we're doing here. That's what the Sefer is about. That's why in English, I titled the book, I added one word in the series. It was very important for me. Because in English, the Sefer is called the fixing of the Medina. So I added the blessing and the fixing of the Medina. Because to just say it needs fixing that's not really how I understand what this book is all about. I understand that, shniya. The fact that you and I can even discuss these things is one of the greatest godly revelations in the world. So the blessing and the fixing of the Medina is what it's all about, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so Emunah eitana zo docha kol yeush, et choshech hametziut misvivenu anu mekirim. We all know already. The darkness that's around us, we all know. Ach amru chachamenu meruba mida tova mimida puranut. What does that mean? What's puranut? Heavy, loaded, painful times, right? Meruba midat tova mimidat puranut. That means as bad as it can get, huh? There's more good always than there is bad. Meaning there's more possibility of making good than there is of making bad. And that's another thing that is very hard for many of us to believe in, but that's a statement of Chazal. And when you zoom out, and you're not in right now, October 7th, or Oslo, or the disengagement, and all the things that have like flipped our minds over, and you zoom out, you see, Meruba midat tova, yoter midat poranut. You see that to be a fact of life. It's huh?
I say, I'm just looking at the shore.
It's in the Gemara, נכון. בכוחה של מידת טובה לתקן את מה שנשבר על ידי מידת פורענות. גם אם הרבנו לקלקל את המציאות, תמיד נוכל לקום לתקן את מעשינו. אם אתה מאמין שיכולים לקלקל, תאמין שיכולים לתקן. We got the greatest gift in the world to come back to Eretz Yisrael in 1947, 48, whatever it is, right? The greatest thing in the world. And yes, there are many elements that have been beautiful binyan, and there are plenty of elements that have been the opposite of that. Is that mekubal on everybody?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to agree to the first thing I said too.
Worse than that.
Not more good or bad good, but there are a lot of good. I'm just saying a lot of good. I mean, Yishai just pointed out, we're sitting here on the place that was, I always think about this, is that like, when was the last time, if at all, anything was ever built on this plot, on this dirt that we built this shul on? When was the last time anything, if ever?
Maybe never.
But let's say if, right?
Definitely there's something here.
I'm always going to David HaMelech, it's in my lasot, like it's so, Shirat David, like it's all here, like who knows if the Shirot of David were composed, the David HaMelech composed the Kapitel Tehillim right here. I know you guys have your own thing on the farm, I know. Give us one Kapitel.
There's a lot of Tehillim.
No, give us one Kapitel. I'm sure most of them were in the...
You get confused.
But something was here, okay? Something's... No, because someone once came to me, he's like, do you know that all of Tehillim was composed... Someone came back from the fire and said, do you know that all of Tehillim was composed in Chavat HaRugot? I was like... And I said, yeah. I said, yeah. And he said to me, why are you smiling weirdly? He said, no, because it's just so beautiful. Oy. גם אם הרבנו לקלקל את המציאות, yes, we didn't expel all of these Yishmaelim when we were supposed to, and we've had all these retarded ideas, like David Rich wrote in the funny Purim message that he sent out yesterday, which was so perfect for our chevra. This whole thing, we've had all these ridiculous galut mentality ideas of what to do with the situation here, and we actually took 7,000 Yidden and threw them out of their home in Eretz Yisrael. Do you realize how insane that is? How much? 80. Look how much I'm mushpa from the Tikshoret. 8,500. Like, and Jews still have, it's not as simple to just go up to Harabait and daven in the place that's mamish our bedroom. All these ridiculous things. Ubechol zot, Rav Ginsburg is saying, you got to be a Breslover. אם אתה מאמין שיכולים לקלקל, תאמין שיכולים לתקן. Like, that's emunah. Like, Jeremy, go back to one of your shilas. Okay, so he says, emunah is not just it's good. Emunah is that when there's bad, I can fix it. That's emunah.
To believe that, to hope that, to trust in that.
100%. Now, that's a big thing. But that's a big thing. That's bigger than we realize.
I would say not hope.
Yes.
Yeah, hope, I think.
Hope is not the right word, Dechon.
Hope is hopeless.
Believing is believing.
No, but I think that believing is even doing. Like believing,
Yes.
right? Believing is doing. Like emunah is omanut. It's an
Knowing-
art.
Knowing that we can.
Listen, an artist that has all the greatest zachin in his head, right? But he doesn't do it. So is he an artist?
In theory, he said, "I'm not kifa v'tziva."
What?
That hurts.
I'm sorry. Are you an artist?
No, I mean, we all have something in us. That's what I'm crippled by this message right now. I find it to be anxiety provoking because I'm seduced by a certain type of passivity that people have. I get it. I get where they come from. Mashiach will come and wings of eagles, like just sit by and let it happen.
Says the guy that set up shop on a mountaintop and built a farm and is changing the world. Continue.
There's
Yes.
more that I don't do than I do.
What can I
A
do?
lot of us have that.
What can I do?
But exactly, emunah. With the way he's saying it over here, emunah is like the way he's saying it over here is like emunah means believing that if you not only if you see destruction, even if you destroyed, chas v'shalom, right? Ta'amin sheyicholim letaken. That's what he's saying over here, and this always, he says in Keter, that's always in the superconscious. That's always there. It's always there. But I agree very much with Steve. It's that it's not faith, it's not hope. Those are wrong. It's more the activating the artistic side of being an oman is the emunah. You know, there's a pasuk in the Megillah. It says, "Vayehi omenet hadasa, hi Esther bat dodo." I once saw a beautiful parish there. That's really what Mordechai Yehudi was telling Esther. He wasn't giving her shmuzing on emunah. He was giving her lemaisa how to activate emunah, which led her to then be a person that lived and acted on her emunah. Vayehi omenet hadasa, hi Esther bat dodo, ki en la avaim. She doesn't have a way of learning anything else. That's the pasuk in the Megillah. Yeah, Paul. I'm just saying we still didn't answer.
Yeah, Rabbi Katz gives a great definition of emunah. He says it's
Yeah.
faithful to, being faithful to something. So it's not,
But is that still passive?
no, not at all. Because when you're faithful to, you constantly believing that will happen even if it hasn't happened, and you're moving towards it.
So you're actively moving towards it. You're fair.
It's a journey.
You're fair.
It's not a belief.
You're fair.
And
You're
it's
fair.
the ultimate illustration we have in Chazal. Rabbi Akiva's famous story. He went up to Harabais with many others who were
Yeah.
lamenting what they saw, and he was.
Yeah, he's Yishai. But you should know. I always know Be'emet.
But he was
Whenever I hear the story, I'm like, I don't know anybody that reminds me of Rabbi Akiva. I know the other Chachamim, but you always remind me of Rabbi Akiva. Be'emet.
He
I know.
knew that this meant that the next is coming too.
The next is
He
coming
knew.
too.
He didn't hope. He didn't think. He didn't believe.
Right.
He knew. That's what.
Nachon. I want to go forward. I just want to cover Emunah today, and then on Monday we're going to go to Tainug. Okay? האמונה היא הכוח המניע החזק ביותר של הנפש. The greatest driving force of the soul is faith, is emunah. Again, I'm nervous to use the word faith, basically, especially because of what we're learning. כדי לתקן, יש לשאוב כוחות דווקא ממנה. If you want to fix anything, the place to receive, to lishov, to take in, to draw in, the koach, to fix anything, don't go to anywhere else. A yid goes to one gas station. You like what I'm going to say right now. Which gas station? Chevron.
Also New Jersey,
right, back in the day. A yid goes to one, he pumps gas from one place and one place only, and that's emunah. There's nothing else. And I want to be clear here. You could have all the da'at in the world. You could have all the da'at in the world. You could have all the knowledge in the world. You could be the biggest history buff. You could give lectures upon lectures on everything Jewish related. That won't give you anything when it comes to fixing, the art of fixing. You're not fixing anything by just knowing a lot of things. And again, please mochel me. I know this is I've said this before, and it's misunderstood, but that's okay because that just means it's something very important. The word, and I've asked this on some of the WhatsApp groups, the word hasbara, right, is a very tricky word. Hasbara. The avoda of hasbara, without coming from a place of emunah, in my humble opinion, has the potential to even do worse.
What does it mean?
Advocacy.
Advocacy that's not being nurtured from emunah is part of what brought us to a place that Zionism doesn't really have an identity in the world.
100%.
And so he's saying over here, right now we're in the tkufa of fixing, right? Hopefully, Bezrat Hashem. Fixing can only be drawn, the koach to fix, to really fix anything in the world, can only be drawn from a place of this world of emunah. Emunah in what? Emunah in what? It will be good. And the more that I recognize the nitzotz of Mashiach in me and do whatever I can to reveal it and redeem it, which means basically tapping into the super consciousness of my soul, which is always around me, the more that I have the power to letaken, to fix. Without that being part of my speech, of my energy, of my attempt to build, we will not be fixing anything. We'll just be bringing more potential mashberei zehut, identity crisis. More and more identity crisis. Mamash. Okay. Again, האמונה היא הכוח המניע החזק ביותר של הנפש, וכדי לתקן יש לשאוב כוחות דווקא ממנה. יתרה מזו, אמונתנו במשיח היא עצמה ניצוץ המשיח הרדום בנפשנו. Okay, this is for you. Emuna in Mashiach is itself a spark of the Mashiach haradum, of the verschlufend Mashiach that's within us. Huh?
No, it's the one.
No, it's the one that's... It's the dormant, right? The pintle is a little bit different. That's like, okay, when I revealed it, I was like, wow. We're talking about the dormant one, meaning that place, he says, this is like such an important line. He says, Emuna in Mashiach is itself the spark of the Mashiach that's schluffing within us. And it awakens it. Ha'emuna, bless you, ha'emuna b'geula ha'memashmeshet uba al yidei melech Yisrael. The emuna in the redemption that you could feel it coming through the King of Israel, the Goalo, me'oreret ba'adam et ha'meretz lakum u'lekadem geula zo. The more I feel it, the more I say, I want to wake up and bring more of that to be the real picture in my life, in my world, for my people. What could I do to bring about that consciousness more and more in the world? Now, if I understand from that awakening, what could I do to bring that reality more and more? Because I could feel it, that the totza'ah is, you're pasul, you're pasul, you're pasul. Go back to sleep and try to wake up again. Because the final geula is everybody. It's everyone, like Avram Fried says when we sing this all the time, no Jew will be left behind, right? The final redemption is not about the disqualification and the pushing away people that just don't get it. It's everyone. It's everyone. Don't start asking me, I know you're going to ask me right now, Shaz about Erev Rav, right? I know. I just would rather focus on something else instead of focusing on that. And even though there's room to speak about that, but he's saying this, you wake up, you say, I could smell it's coming. When you really smell that the real thing is coming, you're awake and you're just basically living a life of what else could I do to make that consciousness more and more alive? What else could I do? Through bittul, through anava. Not through, I know, they don't know. Okay, that's, again, we have to always anchor ourselves back in there. It's this world of art, it's this world of being creative that is so inclusive, it's so positive, it's so loving. And I'm the first one to want to punch people in the face that sound like that, just so you understand. Like, that's not my nature at all. It's a tikkun for me as well, like many of us. But there is the notion of, like, thinking of it positively and being like, אם אתה מאמין שיכולים לקלקל, תאמין שיכולים לתקן. זה אמונה, זה ביאת משיח, זה ניצוץ משיח. That's awakening something. Like, when I smell something that could be, that will be, I want it so badly to be that I don't wait on the side and just say, sheyavo. But the way that I say, shani mishtatef beze, the way that I make myself, this is the nikuda, the way that I engage in bringing this super consciousness to be my consciousness is through all the midot that we spoke about before, specifically the one of anava. Like, that's the way for it to come down in a way that I could do something with it for real. Lif'ol be'ofen meshichi, to act in a messianic way, ve'litol et chelko b'mivtza geula. The Rebbe coined this. You know what mivtzayim are?
Mission.
Mivtzayim. What was one of the famous ones after 6-day war?
Tefillin.
Mivtza tefillin. There's also mivtza nerot Shabbat. Right? There's all the mivtza. Tzedakah. There's all mivtzayim. Mivtza geula. Mivtza geula means that you let every single yid know this geula is going to happen, but you have to wake up. You have to take part in it.
So it's a campaign.
Campaign geula. Now skip over this next piece of it. It's a beautiful thing. Basically, Rav Ginsburg says that emuna is the same letters as manhu. This is mana. Manhu is the same letters as emunah. I don't want to get into it right now. But look at the fourth line from the bottom of this paragraph. ככל שיהודים רבים יותר יגלו בתוכם את ניצוץ המשיח שבהם, the more Yidden that discover within them the spark of Mashiach, כך יעשה הציבור בכללו מודע יותר לתפקידנו הקדוש. Then this critical buzz element, this mass, the critical mass which forms the buzz, will be more aware and identifying with this tafkid of like, you're actually here to play a role in flipping over the whole world. Like, that's actually a thing. And I know that many of us that are here, maybe in Shirat David or in Eretz Yisrael or in Efrat, that's not such a foreign thing to us. Like, many of us actually believe that our hishtatfut is actually part of the revolution that's going to change all of reality. But you need a lot more mass of Am Yisrael to think like that about themselves wherever they are. Let's start within Eretz Yisrael. Let's start within Eretz Yisrael, that the Yidden of Eretz Yisrael have to believe their hishtatfut in what's going on over here is part of nothing short of the Geula Atzma.
Why should we start with an Eretz Yisrael? Maybe some Jews should be aiming there, some aiming there. Like, why does it need
Why
to be
Dafka and Eretz Yisrael?
exclusively
It doesn't
there?
need to. I'm just saying, if we're here right now, let's start with who is around us. And all of you, he's pointing to the pocket computer, and all of you that are learning with us, come join us for Bafal. We can look at each other while we learn and be together. I mean, you want me to go the Zionist rant? That's what you want me to do.
Dafka
I know, that's what he's doing. He's
Dafka,
trying to,
that's not what I'm doing.
'cause
I'm
not.
saying that maybe it's Dafka not that. It's just the empowerment and
Some Lubavitchers would say that, yes. But I'm here. We're here, and I want everyone to come home. I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that, but I just want everyone to come home. כך, again, ככל שיהודים רבים יותר יגלו בתוכם את ניצוץ המשיח שבהם, כך יעשה הציבור בכללו מודע יותר לתפקידנו הקדוש, לעשות את כל אשר ביכולתנו כדי להביא בפועל את משיח צדקנו תכף ומיד ממש. Now the last paragraph. מעבר לחיזוק האמונה שבלב, but above and beyond just the אמונה, strengthening the אמונה that's within the heart. התגלות האמונה במשיח תלויה יותר מאשר שאר עיקרי האמונה בדיבור אודות המשיח וביאתו הקרובה. And this is exactly how we started the shir, speaking about Yinon Magal and about Yair Lapid. Really, because he's been the biggest instigator of this, speaking about that Meshichim HaHazuyim Ha'ele, right? So this is a very important nekuda. I want to read again what the Rav just said. Me'ever lechizuk ha'emunah shebalev. So beyond just strengthening the emunah in the heart, right? He says the revelation of emunah in Mashiach is based on one word, one pasuk from Tehillim. What pasuk from Tehillim is it based on? We say it in Hallel. He'emanti ki adaber.
Let's say dependent, maybe.
What did I say?
It's based on. It's dependent.
Dependent. I thought I said dependent. התגלות האמונה במשיח תלויה יותר מאשר שאר עיקרי האמונה. I mean, there's a lot of principles of אמונה. But the אמונה that has to do with the coming of Mashiach, like what are the other ikarim of אמונה? I also believe there'll be tchias amesim. It doesn't say I have to speak about it all the time in order to believe it. That has to just be strong in the heart. When it comes to the emuna and the bias of Mashiach, the Rav says that it has to be bedibur odot Mashiach. It has to be part of the way we speak.
And that's why the other side, by the way, has made you miturlo.
Exactly. Meduyak. Meduyak meod. Meduyak meod. Very, very to the point. וכך מסופר כי האימהות במצרים היו שרות ומספרות לילדיהן על הגאולה הקרובה לבוא. When it says בזכות נשים צדקניות, right? What exactly was the merit of נשים צדקניות? That for that, it was their merit that we were redeemed from Egypt. So it's a bunch of different things. We've spoken about it, Nachon. But one of the things he says over here is that Yiddish mamas would sing to children while they're in the pit of hell that the Geula is coming. We're not in the pit of hell. It's scary here. It's demented. It's absolutely demented. But we're not in that place. So if they could sing to their children in Mitzrayim about the Geula, not only can we have a chiyuv to. Mm-hmm. We have an obligation.
There are many stories told of those, my parents both survivors of the concentration camps, and they
Yeah.
shared stories of people who knew they were going to their death and said,
Yeah.
make sure to tell, talking about, we know there's going
Yeah.
to be a
Nachon.
continuity.
To
We
speak
know
about it.
This is not the end.
I want to finish the last line. It's very, very late. ובכך פעלו להחיש את הגאולה בפועל. This is how they brought the גאולה בפועל, he says. בזכות האמונה שהחדירו בילדיהם נפשית צדקניות, נגאלו אבותינו ממצרים, ואזי בזכות האמונה נגאלו אבותינו ממצרים. And the schus of emuna, of speaking about it, the geula then happened. What's homework? Very pashut homework.
Let's start talking about it.
We're going to meet again on Friday. But we're going to meet this year, Be'ez Hashem. We're going to meet this year again on Monday. What's homework? Homework is very simple. It's just very, very simple. Try to see how much the dibur about the emet of Emunah and Biyat Mashiach stems with your life. Just see. And notice when it doesn't. That could mean the Shabbos table with certain guests. That's why we have a lot of shirim on this, how to avoid it being really funky and weird. Because it could be, like, so I remember one time we gave a shir about the danger of bringing Scott Baio to the Shabbos table. Do you remember this? Maybe it was women's shir.
It was one of the
Right.
early ones, yeah.
Right, huh? You're a millennial, right? Who's Scott Baio? Anyway, it means, Charles, it means just, like, we came to Eretz Yisrael and made Aliyah to actually, like, that whole tzad where we grew up, American modern Orthodox, it was cute, but there's a tzad of it that's it's just not cute anymore. It just needs to, it played its role. It did its time. It was funky. The Geulah, the door of the Geulah, certain things just don't go anymore. En ma lasot. It just doesn't go. I'm not trying to sound this kitzoni charedi. I'm just trying to be like, if it's really about the Geulah and Beit HaMikdash, there's a way of just of making it so, of making the shulchan that you're eating at your Shabbos table and mizbeach for real.
Right.
Like meaning it either is about the Geulah or it's not. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant, right? It's the same thing over here. Like at a certain point, it has to be our inyan here really is about believing in the coming of Mashiach, which means my life is dedicated to discovering the spark of Mashiach in me and revealing it. Or that's just not where I'm heading to. But
It's integration or non-integrated. Like
Correct.
Scott Baio at the table is we're disintegrated. We're
Right.
not. There's not a totality.
right now, it's not. Scott Baio is just a dugma. He should be gebenched. I think he likes to get in. It's not about Scott Baio. You understand? It's whatever it is. But just pay. The homework is to pay attention. That's all it is. And we'll discuss it Bezrat Hashem next time we meet. Bezrat Hashem.
This here is for $3, one for each eye.
Wait a second. So there's four. So Ari did four. So Ari.
No, mine are it's one for Ishai, one for Josh, and then one is like.
So Ari did four.
So
This is
three.
four.
So those are three.
Okay, I'm gonna be in Kler Chabad today. I'm gonna see if I can get even today. Ani naseh.
Is there a Rabbi? Is that possible?
He's in.
Try Dan.